Welcome to round one of comparing three hopefully easy to install Linux distros. I'm comparing Pop! OS, Mint and Zorin. In this video we are going to look at how to try out the different Linux distros, what to do for preparation, how easy they are to install, what introductory information they give, what options they give, and work out an overall score of which is best. Now I'm doing this on a virtual machine, which you could do as well. You could try them all in VirtualBox. Their performance is therefore hampered. You can however run them all off the installation pen drive, which will give you an idea of how well they run. If I was doing a full install, I would make sure I backed up to a new location such as a cloud or another storage device. Next, I need to go to the distributions website to download the ISO file. I will then need to put it on a USB. This can be done with two pieces of software easily. The first is Rufus. This is my preferred method. In Rufus, I can even download a copy of Windows to burn on another USB, so if things go a bit wrong, I can always reinstall Windows. For instance, I know from past experience that Pop! OS will crash while trying to install on a PC with less than 2 gigabytes, and often I have found Ubuntu's installer fails to work. But don't let this put you off. I always make sure and check I can boot the Windows USB, as older systems with BIOS can only boot to MBR and not to the more up-to-date GPT boot sectors. Rufus, you will select your USB drive, then select the ISO file you have downloaded and then flash it. Bleener is very easy but does not give any options for downloading Windows. Once you have flashed, you will need to restart the computer and boot from your USB. You'll need to find out how to boot from the USB device on this computer. It is by tapping F9 key on the startup, but all PCs are different, so you'll need to search for this on the web. The first difference we see in the boot option. Pop! OS is the most simple with one option. Mint gives us options which are not useful in our case, and Zorin gives us a few useful options depending on what graphics card we have. Mint then goes into a basic logo screen for its booting, while Zorin starts a disk check before doing the same. Pop! OS shows all the terminal commands it is performing. Once started, we get our first significant difference. Mint just goes into a live environment where we can test it out. If we want to install it, we have to click the Install Linux Mint CD. Pop! OS is in a live environment but automatically starts the installer. Zorin goes straight into the installer and you have to choose if you want the live environment. All three start the installer by setting your language and keyboard. Pop! OS goes straight into asking how you want to install it. Zorin and Mint give you the options of extras you can install before asking the same question. Both Zorin and Mint ask for the time zone next before asking for the account information and going into the installation. While Pop! OS misses out the location setup but asks whether you want to encrypt your hard drive, and you are straight into the installation with little information. Zorin is the same and has a bland installation. Mint, on the other hand, gives you a slideshow and it shows all the software you can use once you have installed the system. Once installed, they all ask you to reboot. Once signed in for the first time, Mint keeps it simple with a welcome, and it then advises you on things you can do to help set up your system the way you want it. Pop! OS and Zorin go through a few extra setups to get it the way you want, with some advertising of what the OS has to offer. They all prompt you to update. Zorin was the easiest in this case, followed by Mint, but Pop! OS seemed the least intuitive to do this. After it was all set up, I rebooted and I ran system to see which was the lightest out of the box. Zorin used 1.3 gigabytes of RAM and 11.2 gigabytes of hard disk. Pop! OS used 1.4 gigabytes of RAM and 7.9 gigabytes of hard disk. Mint used 1.1 gigabyte of RAM and 10.7 gigabytes of hard disk. PopOS is definitely the winner for storage used. However, because it uses RAM more, it will not be as snappy when running software. Mint, on the other hand, will be far more snappier, using a lot less RAM. So which is the best? This is a very personal choice, and I would say for the winner of setting up for the first time goes to... I can't decide. I'm calling it a draw. PopOS was simple but had no options for drivers except for when you download the ISO. Zorin says it's installing extra drivers at installation and gives you the option for NVIDIA at the start. And Mint gives the option for installing drivers. Mint had a link to install drivers at the end, but Mint, I believe, gave better information. Zorin made setting up the way you wanted it to look easier. As you can see, it is hard to choose. However, my overall experience of all of them is positive, and I'll give them all a 9 out of 10 at this point. Maybe next round we'll see some differences. Next round will be installing software, not using the terminal. Please join me to find out. Maybe we'll get one that falls behind. Thanks. See you next time.